All the information shared in this video is available on the public platform. Nothing is discussed here which may breach the confidentiality of our armed forces. Defense Detective respects our defense forces and works only on the information that is available for public use.
Many leading international publications and think tanks are wondering how Israel's tech sector, which accounts for over half of the country's exports, a fifth of GDP, and a fifth of the reservists in the Israel Defense Forces, IDF, is managing to save the warhead economy. Their analyses suggest that the present situation may not last long, but at the moment, technologies related to defense and security are showing remarkable growth and greater signs of resilience than expected, thereby not only sustaining the country's highly valued tech base but also adding an edge to it. It may be noted that Israel's tech industry represents 18% of GDP, compared to 10% in the US and 6% in the European Union. The sector makes up 50% of all exports and contributes 30% of all tax revenues domestically. Israel is said to be an entrepreneurial powerhouse and a hotbed for pioneering technologies, profitable business opportunities, and high investment returns. It is renowned as being the startup nation, given the fact that it is the world leader for the number of startups per capita, with 2,000 startups founded in the past decade, another 3,000 small and medium-sized startup and high-tech companies, 30 growth companies, 50 large technology companies, and 300 multinational corporations R&D centers. Another distinct feature of the Israeli technological ecosystem is that Israel is ranked first in the world in R&D expenditure per capita. Israel invests about 6% of its GDP in R&D, the highest in the world. Israel also has the highest percentage of engineers and scientists per capita in the world and has one of the highest ratios of university degrees and academic publications per capita. Add to this the fact that, due to mandatory military service, educated youth also receive advanced technical training during their conscription years. It is, therefore, not surprising to come across the stories of the likes of Ophir Dror, one of the founders of a newly formed Israeli cyber startup, who was drafted to the Israeli army on his birthday last year, 7th October. Dror told the Times of Israel, "For 4 or 5 months, I was not available. I was in Gaza. I couldn't even jump on Zoom calls, so it was just super hard not to be there and be part of a company I just founded and that came out of stealth while I wasn't there. We were 4 founders and 4 employees at the outbreak of the war. As my army unit had a lot of missing equipment, one of the founders started fundraising. And for around a month and a half, the office was not really doing cybersecurity but buying various supplies, packing, and sending us boxes." Lasso is just one example of Israel's economic and national resilience. Many reports indicate that, for the past year, startup founders, investors, and employees have transformed and adapted. They have all attempted to keep fueling Israel's tech powerhouse, a major driving force for the growth of the country's economy. It is no wonder that despite fighting at 6 fronts, Israel's tech sector, which depends considerably on foreign investment, still ranks third as a global hub for investments, attesting to its resiliency. Recent data for 2024 shows that more than $4.5 billion was invested in the first 6 months, and the country seems to be on track for a $10 billion year, which represents almost a 50% increase. Such a trend is rare in the world. Reports suggest that despite the perception that global sentiment is turning against Israel, foreign investors continue to back the country. According to the Startup Nation Central Report, foreign investors still represent 46% of the 217 active venture funds in Israel. They participated in 93% of all funding rounds in the first half of 2024, marking a 7-year high. According to John Medwade, CEO of Our Crowd, Israel's high-tech industry, cyber is hotter than ever. Apparently, Google had expressed interest in buying Wiz for $23 billion, but the company declined the offer after its $12 billion valuation. According to him, although the recent surge in interest in defense tech is likely driven by the war between Russia and Ukraine and instability in Europe, Israel's ongoing battle against Hamas and other terrorist organizations over the past year has also played a role. When Israeli reservists return to their high-tech jobs, they bring valuable insights that help them improve technologies based on what was helpful in combat. As The Economist magazine notes, such ties between the two help explain why Israeli tech centers rely less on things like mobile apps and more on cutting-edge innovations that may come from or be useful for the military. Increased defense spending over the past year in the country has contributed to the resilience of many Israeli tech firms. In fact, there are examples of firms like Elsight, which specializes in software to inspect buildings and other infrastructure using drones and robots. Now focusing only on defense, Elsight earns over half of its revenue from military contracts, up from less than 5% before 7th October last year. A survey published in June by Israel Advanced Technology Industries showed 65% of venture capital funds reported challenges due to identifying as Israeli, and more than 30% of Israeli companies and startups have moved activity abroad. There are also reports of some tech firms showing signs of strain and going for retrenchment of the workers. Israeli government bonds have been downgraded to notches by Moody's, a rating agency. Even Medved, who says that he is an innate optimist, if you are not optimistic, you should not be a venture capitalist, admits that, if we don't put this war to bed sooner than later, things could change. It seems obvious that defense and security-related tech firms are the most important sources of optimism for Israel's wider economy at present.